Let's go, and we will sing. And we will sing. And we will sing. You are good. Say you are good. Lift your hands and say, He's good. You are good. You are good. Lift your voice and say, You are good. You are good.
This is your LIFE-BUOY today, this Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Today is the 21st day of January 2022. And for your LIFE-BUOY today, we are telling you what God is demanding of you and demanding of me. And that is total allegiance from God's people. Complete. None to be taken away by any means. Total allegiance from God's people is our topic today, and we'll be reading from one of those prophets, Prophet Hosea, and we'll be reading his book from chapter 1. If you're set, let's go. The word of the Lord that came to Hosea the son of Beeri in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, Go take to yourself a wife of harlotry, and have children of harlotry, for the land commits great harlotry by forsaking the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And the Lord said to him, Call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will punish the house of Jehu for the blood of Jezreel, and I will put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. And on that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. She conceived again and bore a daughter, and the Lord said to him, Call her name Not Pitied, for I will no more have pity on the house of Israel to forgive them at all. But I will have pity on the house of Judah, and I will deliver them by the Lord their God, and I will not deliver them by bow, nor by sword, nor by war, nor by horses, nor by horsemen. When she had weaned, not pitied, she conceived and bore a son. And the Lord said, Call his name Not My People, for you are not my people, and I am not your God. Yet the number of the people of Israel shall be like the sand of the sea, which can be neither measured nor numbered. And in the place where it was said to them, You are not my people, it shall be said to them again, Sons of the living God. And the people of Judah and the people of Israel shall be gathered together, and they shall appoint for themselves one head, and they shall go up from the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Say to your brother, My people, and to your sister, She has obtained pity. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This is an interesting story. This is a unique prophet, Hosea, that was required by God to marry a wife of harlotry. Hosea was a contemporary of other prophets like Amos, like Isaiah, and like Micah. They all were in Israel or Judah about 750 to about 800 years before Christ. So when Hosea was writing this book, it is estimated that he wrote about 770 BC. And that was a time when God had already established a covenant of being a groom to his people. So just like today, we say that Jesus is the groom of the church, is the husband of the church, and the church is wife to Jesus Christ. Even since the days before Christ, God had established himself as husband to his people, being faithful to his people, and to let the people of Judah and Israel understand how God felt so much pain by their not being faithful to God, by going after other gods. God said Hosea should marry a wife of harlotry, so that Hosea will be able to feel what it is like to have a wife who goes away from you to go and meet other lovers and then comes back one way or the other. And so that in feeling the pain, Hosea will be able to tell the people. And that's exactly what happened. Hosea was able to tell the people that not having total allegiance to God was painful to him, that is, to God. And Hosea was able to understand that because of Gomer, his wife, whom after she had borne children for him, still went after old lovers. And so Hosea was able to call the people back to God and demand of them total allegiance for God. That is, total allegiance from God's people to the God of Israel, so that they will come together as a people. Israel and Judah will no more be separated, because the rest of Israel or Samaria was separated from Judah all that time that these prophets were writing. And it was about restoration that virtually all of these prophets were writing about the sin of the people and how God was willing to take them back, and how God was willing to be faithful to them, and that in spite of their non-allegiance at particular points in their histories, that God was still willing to maintain his fidelity with them, to take them back as his wife, so to say, and to demand of them total allegiance, so that as a people of God, there will be that total allegiance from God's people, and God would ever be faithful to his own word in his own case. He would always be with them. And so that is what God even is requiring of his church today and members of his church, that you do not seek after other gods. And those other gods, don't think it's always about one God upon, or maybe like a stone upon which you pour red palm oil or one thing or the other. Sometimes those other gods may just be money, maybe your telephone handset, maybe positions that you are running after one way or the other, and then you remove your allegiance from God, you take your eyes away from God, and then you do certain evil things just because you want those other things. It may just even be your way of life. Those of you who are still into having concubines, those are other gods that you are seeking because they take your attention from God. But God is demanding of you total allegiance from his people. Total allegiance from God's people is what he demands all the time. That was what he demanded 770 years before Christ, and that is what he's still demanding from you today, the way he demanded it even when Christ walked the surface of the earth. So if you are ready to give total allegiance to God as one of God's people, then remain firmly rooted and grounded in that, so that will remain and grounded and rooted in being the love of God will also be reciprocated by God. In fact, God gives his love first, and then you are able to tap into that. But if you do not yet understand that total allegiance from God's people that we are talking about, you don't even have any form of allegiance for God at all, you are not yet a Christian, you don't have any relationship with him, you don't recognize him as your groom, so to say, your husband, the one to whom you should have fidelity, then have a second thought straight away now. And if you are now ready to give your life to Christ, say this prayer after me. Say, Lord, I come to you today. I've been told that you demand total allegiance from your people. I now am ready to give total allegiance to you. Forgive me of not being in total allegiance to you or not been in allegiance to you at all in times past. Rewrite my story from today, Lord. Give me that grace, that from today, I will also begin to give total allegiance to you. I pray in Jesus' name. If you said that prayer, welcome into the kingdom and into the family and into that fold of those that recognize God as their groom, as their husband, and that you are also ready to give total allegiance to God because you are now one of God's people. So, if you have just said that prayer, you've just given your life. For you to maintain that total allegiance, you must find a Bible-believing church very close to you so that you can readily fellowship there, get to understand God the more, and get to have a better relationship with Him. If you happen to find an Anglican church around you, that must be a Bible-believing church. If you happen to be in Oshogbo, come to the Anglican Church of Goke Estate, Oshogbo, and it will be well with you as we will fellowship together and maintain total allegiance as God's people to Him. All of us together can now say this prayer. Say, dear Father, may all the glory and honor be ascribed to you now and forevermore concerning my life. I pray in Jesus' name. So go out today, recognize that as one of God's people, you must give total allegiance to Him. And as you do that, it will be well with you. God bless you.
I judge you faithful. I call you faithful.